Okay, I mean, how do we get to a situation in this province where we spend millions, probably billions of dollars on building health infrastructure and then don't take care of it? It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. How do we get here?
Well, you have to go all the way back to the days of Ernest Manning. I mean, many of our hospitals were built
really far back.
That's really far back. Were built when the Social Credit Party was in power, and they were built during the times that Ernest Manning and Harry Strom were premiers. Peter Lougheed did another big burst of hospital building in the mid 1970s and into the early 80s. So we have a lot of infrastructure that was built at a time when Alberta was really booming, and at a time when even the most conservative governments believed in public infrastructure. The problem was we came into the Klein years, and there was this huge push to eliminate the debt, to reduce government spending. And I think it's a twofold thing. On the one hand, there was a lot of pressure to reduce spending. And on the other hand, there's always political pressure to spend in ways that are splashy. Politicians would much rather open a new hospital or a new hospital wing than there's not much glory in installing a new HVAC system or replacing linoleum. I mean, no one invites you for a baseboard ribbon cutting. So at the same time,
they should.
We were still investing in some infrastructure, but it tended to be new infrastructure and not in basic maintenance. And it's a funny thing, in a province that prides itself on being conservative in a small c sense in government, we haven't conserved the legacy that Manning and Lougheed left here. So some of these buildings, as Keith said, he was born at the Foothills 40 years ago. I was born at the Royal Alex when it was brand new 50 years ago. Some of this infrastructure would have aged out anyway, and we would be looking at how to replace buildings that are 50 and 60 years old that were built during the height of the baby boom. That would always have been necessary. But the need has been accelerated and exacerbated by chronic deferred maintenance. And, I sang my little ant song, but that's just one example. I mean, Keith's series details the possibility of lead and radiation poisoning at a hospital in Lloydminster. It details mold, toxic mold and pipes bursting, and one hospital that was built in 1911 and is still operational. And then finally, we get to the whole issue of rural hospitals. We built a lot of rural hospitals, sometimes for political reasons, sometimes because those communities were larger. Now rural populations are shrinking and aging, and it's a very difficult political question. Nobody wants to be the politician who comes into small town Alberta and says, we're closing your hospital, we're turning it into a long-term care center and a clinic, because you don't need an active treatment hospital in a town with 6,000 people. Very few politicians of any party want to bell that cat.